Okay, so we're now on chapter 8, scroll 8. The girls followed Jonathan into a second narrow bedroom with a bright mustard yellow walls. They ran to the window and Jonathan yanked out a wooden lattice-work screen that fitted into its frame. Peering around, they were just in time to see Mordecai's arrow fly into the midst of the pack of dogs which surrounded a tall umbrella pine. The arrows missed. The dogs swarmed around the tree, barking loudly and gazing up at it. "Use your sling!" Flavia urged Jonathan. "I can't, there's not enough room in here to swing it. I need to be outside." Their three faces crowded into the tiny window frame. "What are they barking at?" asked Jonathan. "There's something up that tree." "Yes," agreed Jonathan. "There's something on the other side clinging on. It was difficult to see in the fading light. I can see hands." "Maybe paws," said Flavia. "Boy," said Nubia. "No, it can't be a boy. Look how fast it's climbing now," cried Jonathan. "It must be a monkey," gasped Flavia. The dogs had stopped barking and were watching the climb with interest too. Suddenly the creature moved around the trunk and they could see all its silhouette against the yellow sky of dusk. The creature was not a monkey, but a boy, no more than 8 years old. As they watched in amazement, he shouted incoherently down at the dogs. Not a scream of fear, but a mocking taunt. This enraged the dogs, who began to bark furiously again. Another arrow whizzed down from the window. This one found its mark. One of the dogs yelped, leapt into the air, then fell back with a shaft in its gut. The other sniffed at him and with a second arrow struck the leader. They ran off into the woods. 2 dogs with arrows in them lay writhing on the ground. High up in the tree, a small boy clung to the trunk. "Let's help the boy," cried Jonathan, and ran downstairs with the girls close behind him. Mordecai followed him down the stairs. "Wait," he cried. "Don't go out. The dogs aren't dead yet. They may still be dangerous." "We have to help the boy," protested Jonathan. "Yes, I know," his father reassured him as they reached the bottom of the stairs. "That's why I bought this." They all looked at the object Mordecai held in his hand. It was a large, curved sword. The blade was polished, its mirror brightness, and its edge was sharp as a razor. The back of the house had no windows at ground level, so the 3 of them ran back down upstairs to the yellow bedroom in order to watch. In the twilight they saw Jonathan's father emerging cautiously from the back door beneath them, the white oval of his turban gleaming in the dusk. Before it they could see his blue shoulders and the flash of the sword. But this action caused the leader to twist with alarm, and in doing so the huge black mastiff freed himself from the ground. The wounded beast faced Mordecai and crouched, his lip curled back to reveal sharp, pale fangs dripping with saliva. The broken shaft protruded from his hind leg. Mordecai murmured something soothing through, though they could not make out the words, but the wounded hound was not pacified. With an angry snarl, he leapt directly at Mordecai's face. Jonathan's father reacted by instinct. The sword flashed again, and the dog's body fell in 2 separate places. For a moment no one moved, then Flavia and her friends raced downstairs and out the back door. When they reached Mordecai, he was standing in the same spot, looking at the dogs and trembling. "Let me have the sword, father," said Jonathan quietly. Mordecai shook his head emphatically. "No, if these dogs are rabid, even the blood from the sword might be dangerous." He moved over to a clump of horse grass and began to wipe the blade clean. Flavia felt a tug at her arm. Nubia was pointing up at the tree. The boy, instead of coming down and thanking them for saving his life, was shimmying higher up the tree. "Come down," said Flavia. "The dogs are gone. It's safe." "They can't hurt you now," Jonathan added. But the boy had reached the larger limbs and was inching his way along one, his bare feet gripping the branch almost as tightly as his hands. They watched in fascination as he slowly stood up on it, remained still for a moment, and then leapt 6 feet forward under another umbrella pine nearby. He caught hold of a branch with one arm, but it was a small one and began to bend alarmingly. They gasped, but the boy had already moved on, using his momentum, and swung to the next branch. There was an even larger gap between the tree he was in and the next one, which led to the woods beyond. "He'll never make it," gasped Flavia in horror, as the boy swung from the pine branch, preparing to jump. "He just might," breathed Jonathan. The boy leapt. He seemed suspended in air for a moment, and the 4 faces watching him seemed frozen too. Then, impossibly, he had grasped one of the pine's outermost branches and was swinging for the next sturdier limb. But as he swung forward, they all heard an ominous crack. The branch and the boy with it plummeted to the earth below. "It's a miracle, but it seems no bones are broken," murmured Mordecai as he examined the boy. "Jonathan, could you bring the lamp stand a bit nearer?" They were all standing round the boy, who lay on the couch in the mustard yellow bedroom. The boy's eyes were closed and his face was very pale, but he was breathing. Jonathan pulled a standing lamp closer to the bed, carefully so that the hot oil wouldn't spill. The light now shone full on the boy's face, and they could see he was exceedingly grubby. Smears of dirt streaked his face, and his tangled hair was full of dust and twigs. His tattered tunic smelled curiously of sour wine and pine resin. Abruptly, the boy opened his eyes. They glittered sea green in the lamplight, and for a moment they registered fear, but only for a moment. Then they grew alert and wary. "Peace be with you," said Mordecai with a little bow, and he added, "Every stranger is an uninvited guest." The boy started to rise, but Mordecai pushed him gently back against the striped cushions piled on his bed. "Careful, my boy," he said softly. "You've taken a nasty fall. It's a miracle you've no broken bones." The boy settled back on the pillows and looked round at him, then, almost as if judging his chances of escape. "Jonathan, the bread, please," said Mordecai. Jonathan handed his father a plate with a flat, round loaf of bread on it. Mordecai tore a piece from the loaf and handed it to the boy. The boy hesitated. He reached a hand out from under the covers, took the piece of bread, sniffed it quite quickly, and swallowed it almost whole. Flavia noticed that his fingernails were cracked and filthy. Mordecai set the plate carefully on the couch. The boy took another hunk of bread and devoured it. He ate like a dog, chomping once or twice with his molars and then throwing his head back and swallowing the half-chewed bread in one gulp. Between bites he looked constantly round them, warily, suspiciously, as if at any moment one of them might suddenly lunge forward to steal his food. When he finished the loaf and drained a beaker of cold water, he wiped his mouth with his bare arm, pushed back the cover as if to go. "No, no," Mordecai said gently, pressing him back on the bed. "You can't leave now. It's already dark outside. Let me get word to your family that you're all right. What is your name and where do you live?" The boy looked at him silently, his mouth firmly closed. "We've shared bread together," explained Mordecai solemnly. "You are now under our protection. Please tell us your name." He smiled encouragingly. The boy said nothing. "He doesn't understand us," said Jonathan. The boy shot him a furious look. "Oh, but I think he does," said Mordecai. "Young man," he said gently, "please open your mouth for me." The boy glared at him. "Please," said Mordecai softly. The boy opened his mouth slowly. Mordecai carefully held the boy's chin between thumb and forefinger and lowered it even more. Then he looked into the boy's mouth. After a moment, he closed it again and looked gravely at the other 3 of them. "He understands well enough," said the doctor, "but he's unable to reply. You see, someone has cut out his tongue." So that's the end of chapter 8, and chapter 9 will be coming soon.